Hello everyone, and welcome to ComSci 142, Design and Analysis of Algorithms. I am Roy Daradal, and I will be your instructor for ComSci 142 lecture. So in this video, we will introduce ComSci 142. So we'll take a look at the topics, the course outline, the course requirements, the materials, and we will also talk a little bit about what algorithms are. Okay, so let's start. So ComSci 142's title is Design and Analysis of Algorithms. So in this course, we will be talking about algorithms, how to design them, and how to analyze them. Okay, so design and analysis comes hand in hand. The prerequisite of this course is ComSci 123, which is data structures, and presumably you've already taken that course in the previous semester. Okay. Now, we have a group chat in Messenger, which is for ComSci 142 lecture. So please make sure that you are part of that group chat, and if you are not, please inform me so that I could add you in that group chat, because I will be posting updates and announcements there from time to time. So yeah, just be on the lookout for those updates. Okay. Now, ComSci 142 is good for 3 units. So there's a 2-hour lecture component and a 3-hour lab component per week. So for the lecture, our schedule is every Wednesday, 8 to 10 a.m. And for the lab, your schedule is every Wednesday also, but from 10 to 1 p.m. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, I will only be handling the lecture part, okay? So I will only talk about the lecture part. For the lecture part, we will cover about 1 to 2 topics per week, depending on the length of each topic. Okay? So let's go over the course outline. So that what are the topics, okay, that we will cover in this course. So we'll look at sorting and searching algorithms, divide and conquer algorithms, dynamic programming, greedy algorithms, and graph algorithms. Okay, so for the detailed version of the topics, you can check the course outline. Okay, so for algorithms, sorting and searching, divide and conquer, dynamic programming, greedy, graph algorithms, and the rest of this are already graph algorithms. Okay, so you can check the detailed topics here in the course outline. Okay, now for the course requirements, we will have 3 long exams, so that would be 45%, so 15% per exam. And then another 15% for the 2 problem sets that we will have. Okay, so the first problem set is before the second long exam, and the second problem set is before the third long exam. Okay, so those 2 problem sets will be 15% of your grade. And then finally, the rest of the 40% will come from your lab exercises. Okay, so 60% lecture component, 40% lab. Okay, now about the exams. So for the exams, we will have an open notes type of exam because of our online setup, right? Or remote learning setup. So this will be open notes, and I just want you to be honest during exams. Okay, answer the exam on your own, since anyway it's open notes, right? So don't copy from your classmates or from someone else. Okay, so yeah, just be honest during exams, because anyway it's open notes. Okay, now for the grading system, this is the grading system that I will be using. So yeah, if you have from 100 to 95, that would be a flat 1. Then from 94 to 90, that's 125, and so on. So you can also see this in the course outline if you're interested in the breakdown of the grades later on. Okay, so you also have the course requirements here and the references in the course outline. Okay, for the course references, you have 2 main references. So the Introduction to Algorithms by Corman et al. So this is known as the Algorithms Bible. Most algorithms courses use this book as the main reference, right? And from time to time, I'll also be consulting the Algorithm Design Manual by Skena, 2nd edition. Okay, so those are the 2 main references. But you don't really need to buy the book, because anyway I'll be providing course materials that are already summarized and easy to digest. Okay, so yeah. Now for the course learning outcomes, at the end of the course, the students of ComSci 142 should be able to, number one, identify the appropriate algorithm design technique to use for a given problem. Okay, so this is about designing algorithms. If you're presented with a problem, what design technique should you use to be able to solve that problem? So you should be able to identify this easily after taking ComSci 142. Okay, should you use divide and conquer? Should you use dynamic programming? Is greedy algorithms enough? Or is this best modeled as a graph problem? Okay, so you will learn that after the end of the course. And you will also be able to analyze and compare algorithm performances, which is usually about the running time and the memory of the algorithm. So you should be able to tell whether an algorithm is running efficiently, okay, in terms of running time and memory, because you'll be able to analyze and compare performances. Okay, so this is for the lecture part. Now for the lab part, you should be able to implement algorithms to solve the given problem, okay, and apply algorithm design techniques to real world problems. So this will come in the lab component of the ComSci 142. Okay, implementation and application of algorithm design techniques. So we added the lab component for algorithms course so that you can also try to code and implement the algorithm ideas that you learn from lecture. Okay, so yeah, those are the course learning outcomes for ComSci 142. Now for the course materials, for each topic we will have the lecture notes, which will come in PDF form. Okay, so it's summarized and organized version of the topics, basically, so that you don't have to consult with the book anymore. And then of course there will be a lecture video for each topic, and from time to time there will also be demo videos, especially later on in the exam 2 and exam 3 topics, because those need demonstration on how certain problems are solved in a step-by-step manner. So some of those topics will have demo videos. Okay, now of course you're not just limited to the course materials that I'm going to be providing. There's tons of video resources on YouTube or elsewhere that you can consult. Okay, so just try to find them, just be resourceful. Of course, if you're not, if you don't quite get the topic from my explanation, then maybe someone else can explain it better than me, right? So especially if you're a visual learner, so video resources are abundant all over the internet, right? Now if you need help, you can always ask me in the group chat or through email, or through direct message or personal message. So I will try to answer your question as soon as I can. Yeah, and all of these course materials are available in the course page. So we will not be using the LMS for this course. I created a course page, a web page wherein all of the materials are already here. So for week 1 we have the notes and the video, and then for week 2 you have the notes and the video. So everything is here already. Okay, the schedule, the videos, and the notes are already uploaded in the course page. So all of the materials that you'll need for ComSci 142 is already in here. Okay, so bookmark this page. I'll give the link to this one later on, because you will be using this page a lot, okay, or almost every week. Okay, so those are the course materials for ComSci 142 lecture. Now, ComSci 142, as I've said, is design and analysis of algorithms. So what are algorithms? So algorithms are a sequence of computational steps that transform input into output. Okay, so if you have your input, you do something with it, so that's the steps, computational steps, and then it will be transformed into output. Okay, so algorithms are considered the blank of computer science. Do you know what should be in the blank? So it's considered the heart of computer science. Okay, so algorithms are very important in computer science. So it's the idea behind any reasonable computer program. So any program, there is uh, the idea or the pseudocode behind it. That is the algorithm. Okay, so it's usually written in pseudocode, not the programming code itself, uh, but just the idea behind it. That is the algorithm. So it's kind of abstract. It's not um, the tangible code itself. Okay. Now, why are algorithms important? So number one, it's the key in modern technological innovation. Okay. So most of the technological innovations that we have is because there was an algorithm that was an improvement over whatever was the current um, available algorithm at that time. So it was improved, and that's why there was the innovation. So it there's also a lot of applications of algorithms in the field. Okay, so for example, route finding. So when you're using Google Maps, so take me from point A to point B. Okay, so it will find a route or for you, and there is a graph algorithm behind the scenes working for that. There's also algorithms for scheduling, social network analysis, and other things. Okay, so these are just some examples. Okay, algorithms are also important in other branches of computer science like networking, AI, machine learning, computer vision, and so on. Okay, and even in other branches of science like for biology, you have bioinformatics like in gene sequencing and so on. For economics, you have things like game theory, wherein algorithms are also important, right? So it's not just in computer science, but also in other branches of science as well. The other importance of algorithms is because it's challenging. So it's good for the brain to challenge yourself to come up with a clever algorithm, right? And this somehow makes you a better programmer, because if you think about that algorithmically, okay, then your codes will become better naturally also. Okay, and finally, because algorithms are fun, and hopefully by the end of ComSci 142, you will realize and agree that algorithms are fun. Okay, now, okay, so it's easy to write naive algorithms, right? Naive meaning like basic or like simple or like brute force. Okay, so it's easy to write those, but if you're a good programmer, your goal is to always write fast and efficient algorithms. Okay, so fast meaning it runs in a short amount of time, and efficient meaning it uses its resources in an efficient manner, meaning it doesn't waste resources like memory or like network bandwidth or time. Time is also a resource, right? So fast and efficient algorithms should always be our goal. So when you want fast and efficient algorithms, you need to be clever in designing them. Okay, you can't just be naively doing it in a brute force or a simple manner. So design is a creative process. That's why 142 is the study of the design and analysis of algorithms. Okay, because we need to design fast and efficient algorithms. So when you design algorithms, we don't necessarily need to invent a new algorithm. Okay, like when you hear the term designing algorithms, you might be like scared because maybe I need to come up with an entirely new algorithm. No, that's not the case. Okay, designing algorithms is basically just choosing the appropriate algorithm design technique to solve a problem. Okay, so just choosing the approach or the design technique or the design paradigm that will efficiently solve the problem that is already part of designing algorithms. Okay, so you don't need to necessarily invent a new algorithm. So what are some of the algorithm design techniques that already exist? So of course, the naive one, or the most basic one, is by doing brute force. Okay, so enumerating all possibilities, right? Or the exhaustive search. And then you also have clever design techniques like the divide and conquer, dynamic programming, greedy, linear programming, and we will tackle some of these design techniques later on in the course. Okay. Now, when designing algorithms, you always need to ask these three questions. Number one, is your algorithm correct? Okay, so that is first and foremost. Correctness always comes above all, because no matter how fast it is, if it's wrong, then it's useless, right? Maybe not useless, but well, it's wrong. Okay, so the first thing you need to ask is it correct? Now, if it's already correct, the next thing that you need to ask is, how long does it take? Is it reasonable? So you're now talking about the running time. Okay, so you're already okay with its correctness. Now you need to think about whether your algorithm is running in reasonable time. Okay, because what if it's correct but it takes like an hour or even longer to run? Then something is wrong with your algorithm also, right? So after ensuring correctness and ensuring that it's running in reasonable time, the third question that you need to ask is, can you do better? Okay, so if it's already running in reasonable amount of time, can you still do better than that? Can you still improve the running time? Okay, so those are the three questions that you need to ask when designing algorithms. Again, first, is it correct? Second, how long does it take? Is it reasonable ang running time niya? And third, can we do better? Okay, so the algorithm designer's mantra, according to Aho, Hopcroft, and Ullman, is perhaps the most important principle for the good algorithm designer is to refuse to be content. Okay, meaning you don't want to be satisfied with the current performance. You always ask, can you do better, until you can't do better than what you have. Okay, so hopefully you will learn more about this mantra later on, after taking 1 for 2, that you always strive to improve the performance of your algorithms. Okay, now when designing algorithms, we usually run into trade-offs, meaning you need to sacrifice one thing over the other, and usually you have the trade-off of running time versus space. So should you go for a faster algorithm, meaning it has a good running time, or should you favor an algorithm that maybe runs slower but consumes less memory? So these are some trade-offs that you need to balance out. Okay, should you go for a super fast but it's also consuming a lot of memory, or maybe something that's not as fast but it has better memory management? Okay, so these are some trade-offs that you need to consider also. So later on, we will learn about how to analyze algorithms. So the analysis of algorithms is the theoretical study of a computer program's performance, which is the running time, and resource usage, which is usually about memory or bandwidth. Okay, so it's two things. Okay, the time and the memory. Okay, is it fast, and does it efficiently use the memory, meaning it's not wasting too much space. Okay, so we'll learn more about this in later lectures. But for now, let's focus on running time. Why is running time important? Well, because number one, speed is fun. You always want your programs to run fast, right? You don't want it to run slow. Okay, and usually running time generalizes to other computer resources. In most cases, when you have a fast program, fast running program, that means that it's also not wasting other resources. Okay, And running time helps us understand scalability. So later on, when you have like maybe your program is running okay with just 100 data points, but what if later on you run it with like a million or a billion data points, and then it's now slowing down? So this will help us understand scalability, because your program is not scaling to the data, meaning it's not applicable, or yeah, applicable for big data. Okay. And running time will draw the line between the feasible and impossible. So it tells us that this problem can be solvable in is feasible because it's solvable in a reasonable amount of time, or it's impossible to solve because there could be a algorithm for it, but it runs in a unreasonable amount of time, like after an hour or 24 hours it still hasn't stopped running. Okay, so that's why studying running time is important. Now, there could be other factors that are more important than running time, like for example correctness. So maybe you favor correctness over running time, like maybe you want the program to run 100% correct, 100% of the time correct, but not as fast, versus something that's really fast but only works only maybe 75% of the time correct. Okay, so even if it's fast, it's not reliable also, because 25% of the time it's wrong. Okay, so number one, you always favor correctness. And then similarly, reliability. So maybe it's not reliable sometimes. Okay, so you may favor reliability over running time. So maybe not as fast but reliable 100% of the time. And then maybe you also want to keep the code simple. Okay, so instead of pushing for a faster running time, you just want to keep your code simple, so you keep it as is. And then similarly, you have maintainability, extensibility, functionality. So maintainability, is the code maintainable? Can you revisit it let's say 1 month or a year later and still be able to figure out what the code is doing? And then extensibility means that you can add more code after that. Okay, so same with functionality, right? So can you add more functionality after that? So sometimes when we want to make the code faster, we tend to give up the simplicity of the code and the maintainability of the code, such that we write spaghetti code already, right? All in favor of making the code run slightly faster. So maybe we don't want that, and maybe just keep the code simple and maintainable and extendable, even if we don't like get the minimal gains for the running time, right? And then finally, you also have user friendliness and programmer time. So maybe it's fast but it's not user friendly anymore, right? Or for programmer time, what if you value your own time more than making the code run faster, right? So you could make it faster maybe, but you'll spend 5 more hours of coding time to do it. So maybe not, maybe I'll just sleep, right? So maybe you value your own time more than making a better running time. So of course, running time is not the most important thing, right? But it's one of the most important thing. So sometimes there are other factors that you can prioritize over running time. Okay, so later on we'll learn more about that during analysis of algorithms. Okay, so we'll stop here for now. I've introduced you to algorithms, how to design them, and how to analyze them. So we'll stop here for introduction, and for the next topics we'll be talking about a problem called the stable marriage problem, and then how to analyze algorithms, and then we'll look at search algorithms and sorting algorithms. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me, and I will see you next time.